The barometer has always been, do you feel the country's headed in the right direction? It's always about 60-40 no, 70-30 no. And it's starting to crawl up. At one point, it was almost 50-50. The problem with the polling about his popularity is that there's about 15 polls, and we all have a record of them in the 2024 and 2020 and 2016. So if you look at those 20 polls and you look at Insider Advantage, Trafalgar, or Rasmussen, Donald Trump is dead even, or even a couple. If you look at Harvard Harris or Quinnipiac, the polls, he's down anywhere from 3 points to 8 or 9. But though, if you look at the polls, those same polls, how they called the 2016-20, they were off by a wide mark. NPR poll has him down by 7, but they said on the eve of the election, 24 hours before the 2024 election, that Kamala Harris was going to win by 4 points beyond the margin of error. So there are polls, and then there's polls that have records. If you so he's doing about as well as could be. The way I look at it, John, it's kind of like we had a cancer going on of open borders and a loss of deterrence, and the chemotherapy is very hard to administer. It's very easy to let in 12 million people, 10,000 a day, and say you're magnanimous and not tell the people that they're crowding ER rooms for American citizens, that your dialysis clinic is going to be packed with people who've never been to a doctor from Guatemala. We have a huge overhead and parity entitlements for housing, legal aid, food, etc. But it's very hard to find them and enforce the law. It was almost if the left said to us, it's very moral to break the law. And now they're saying to us, it's very amoral to enforce it. So it's bad publicity to find these 500,000 felons. But we've already had 1 million people self-deport. Everybody said that was impossible. They would never do it. Donald Trump said you get $1,000, we'll pay your way home, and you can apply for a green card. If you do not self-deport and we catch you, you will not be allowed in under any circumstances for a year, and you'll go back on your own expense and time. So it's what he's trying to do is rectify things that were kind of nonsensical and were feel-good stuff. Let's just make wind and solar. Let's just get out of Afghanistan. But the corrective to that is very difficult. The other thing that's happening very quickly is that the legacy media, CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, NPR, PBS, all of them have had dramatic drop in viewership. And many on the right have sued them successfully. And some of them are going to have their subsidies cut off. But what's happened is this podcast, what we're doing right now, has flooded the United States. So if you look at the viewership of CNN, it's about 400,000. If you look at Joe Rogan's, it's 70 million. And when you look at Jordan Peterson, and you look at the podcast ratings, it's something else. If I went somewhere in public 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, to the degree anybody knew me, it would be they'd come up and say, you write a syndicated poem. I wrote a book. You're on Fox News 3 times a week. But that was, to be candid, it was kind of rare. If I go anywhere now, 5 or 6 people come up to me and say, I listened to your podcast, which we have a huge, I think we're number 8 on Amazon now in news and politics. But my point is that genre is dominated now by conservatives.